All right, so we have a great webinar for all of you today. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick. All right, so um, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. It is the summer. It is the time to take some vacation. So if you are here today, we appreciate you. If you're not able to make it, you'll have this video after. But I do want to say thank you for joining us. Today we'll be covering an exciting topic, exciting and a very challenging topic, which is food waste. So we're going to talk about food waste and how that's a challenge for communities and how we can, address it with different technology. We will talk about the technology around food rescue, specifically Knead technology, and how that applies to mobile markets and beyond. And we'll also have a surprise at the end. We're launching a new tool, so stay tuned all the way to the end. The webinar is being recorded and will be sent by email afterwards, and it will be hosted on our website the next day. If you do have questions throughout the webinar, please use the Q&A section at the bottom. We'll be collecting that. Basil's in the background, and he's going to be telling us these questions towards the end. We're leaving about 15 minutes at the end for that. And I am pleased to introduce to you Lourdes Juan. Lourdes is an award-winning Canadian entrepreneur and urban planner with a master's in environmental design. She has founded a diverse array of companies and organizations in urban planning, food security, hospitality, food, and climate tech. Lourdes' community advocacy is vast and also includes serving on numerous local and national boards related to urban planning and design, affordable housing, which is a hot topic, entrepreneurship, and impact investment. Lourdes is also a mom to a 4-year-old son who inspires her to continue to work towards building a brighter future. Welcome, Lourdes.
Thank you so much for having me. This is very a long time coming, so I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. So, before we dive into the food waste topic and a bit about your entrepreneurial journey, let me share a bit about who is the Farmer's Truck, and we'll dive right in. All right. So, my name is Frederic Laforge. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Farmer's Truck, and this is me being silly with some garlic scape. You got to keep food fun. That's the trick. The Farmer's Truck is a social enterprise with a bold mission: fresh, accessible food in every community. This all started out of a small farm in Capelé, New Brunswick, where Mathieu and I were trying to figure out ways to get his product to market. Mathieu decided to start farming and was struggling to get his foot in the door with farmers market and other kind of wholesale locations. So we decided, hey, listen, let's take the market in our own hands and run our own market. And we decided, hey, why not make it mobile? And so basically a little bit later, we decided let's move forward. We cobbled together some budget and some duct tape, lots of wheel energy, bought a used truck, and started modifying it ourselves. Busted a hole in the side, reusing some of the shelving inside. And this is what it looked like when we were on our first day to our first market. Obviously, had to be red. That was the vision for the brand, had to be red. So, spent a lot of days burning in the sun trying to install that wrap, but it was worth it. And this is what it looked like when we were set up. So very simple setup, but we took a lot of care into creating a great display that feels like an abundance, that pulls you in. And the trick is really to make a colorful display that feels like there's an abundance of things. So in 2015, we launched our own mobile farmers market. We've learned a lot through the years, and now we empower others to do the same. Farmer's Truck today is the most popular mobile market in North America, collectively serving around 25,000 families every single week. Here's some pictures of people using our truck from all over North America. People usually give names to our trucks because, it's such a big piece of their program. They use it every day, and it becomes a crucial part of that. All right, so let's jump in. Lourdes, All right. So, Lourdes, you have a very interesting entrepreneurial background. You've studied urban planning, understanding how humans move around a city, essentially, and how that impacts their life, that impacts their health. Um, and one day you got a request, I believe, from one of your cousin to go and pick up some bread. So let's kick it off there.
Yeah, I love telling that story. I've probably told it a million times, but it really, changed my life. It was really a light bulb moment, and it's interesting because I speak to a lot of other food rescue organizations around the world, and their stories are sort of similar in that, my story starts. I am an entrepreneur, so I have a master's degree in urban planning. I have my urban planning consultancy. I also own a spa. And so I was very happy kind of doing the entrepreneurship thing and only having these two businesses. And one night, my cousin said, "Hey, I pick up this bread for this church that he was a part of. It's at this, local bakery. And usually it's a lot of bread. Like, will you come with me and help?" And I was not a mom at the time. I was single, had way more time on my hands. I said, of course, like I'll come help. We're really family oriented. And so we get to the bakery and honestly, there's about 250 pounds of bread that was baked that morning. And I thought, and I asked the woman working at the shop, I said, well, if we let's say we weren't here to pick it up, what would happen? And she said, well, like we would throw it out. We don't have storage. We don't sell day old bread. I mean, there's all of these policies that they have to make sure that that bread has to be disposed in some way, shape, or form. And so the fact that we were there to recover it was this light bulb moment because I thought, well, I wonder if there's more bakeries and grocery stores. I didn't come from this world of food at all. And so it was really interesting to me to kind of uncover that and for better or for worse, like really trying to understand food waste and then of course later on food insecurity from kind of a different perspective, from the perspective of a planner as a small business owner. And so we took that food, I stuffed it into my car. I think a lot of folks maybe on the call who are involved in food rescue know how to like Tetris bags of food into their vehicles. So we get into the car, we take it to the drop-in center, which is like an emergency shelter. And what really struck me was the gentleman said they would use that bread by noon the next day because they serve a lot of their folks have jobs, and so they pack lunches for them and they serve 3 meals a day. And so that sort of 3,000 meals, like this would really help it and go toward that. And I think just really, that entrepreneurial brain kind of clicked for me where I thought, well, this is a huge problem on both sides. Folks could use the food and we're throwing out so much. And so that night I started to really go down a rabbit hole of food waste and turns out it's $940 billion global problem. Turns out, millions of people around the world go hungry, and we have not quite figured out that logistics piece. And so, from that day, I actually started the Leftovers Foundation, which is now one of Canada's largest food rescue charities. And it started with just me. I guess voluntolding all of my family members to go and pick up food and drop it off at different shelters around town, and that grew into quite a movement. We were, the first organized food rescue in Calgary, Alberta, where it started, and it sort of just took off from there.
And so that was in 2012, I
12,
believe.
yeah.
2012. So let's pencil in where we're at today with that foundation and how much have you like how many pounds have you saved and how many
Yeah.
lives do you think you've impacted?
Well, I think they are now at about 1.5 to 2 million pounds of food rescued a year. So it's it's really, I think, rewarding seeing, because I was a volunteer for that organization for 5 years, and then you start getting a little bit of donations here, you start bringing on people there. And so it's always funny kind of seeing the stark difference between, starting stuffing bread into a Honda Civic and then 2 million pounds a year later. It's pretty remarkable. And I know that's how a lot of organizations have grown.
We talk a lot about this gap in logistics when it comes to when there's no more money to be made on that product, then everything stops. And that's where the social entrepreneurs come in and tries to figure out ways to make money to fix that gap, whether it is, we talk with a farmer, it's like, hey, I have this truckload of hogs that, but they're whole hogs. You can't let's give a whole hog to a family. You need to
Right.
process it, cut it, and do something like that. So there's and then when we talk about bread, I mean, they do a lot of waste. I mean, let's
Yeah.
be honest. And it's
Yeah.
just a business model they're in. And I think there should be a bit more circular thinking behind their model. But, that's the world they live in. So let's segue into how we've actually met, which
Yeah.
was through the mobile market that you've also launched, which is called Fresh Fruit. So let me tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because we started leftovers in that food waste space. So really taking food from point A to point B. But I think that food security and problems and global problems like this, you really have to dig a little bit deeper. And so we were chatting with a few social workers who worked in affordable housing, and they were saying that, the seniors that they serve, that they look after every day, there were sort of two main issues that they could not physically get to a grocery store because a lot of, and this is urban planning hat in me, we have planned our cities, Canadian and American cities, where our discount grocery stores are on the periphery of the city. So they require a vehicle, they require a driver, they require a bus ride, while sort of more, at least this is Calgary, your artisan sort of shops are in the center of the city, and they can be, a bit pricier, they can be a bit more specialized. And so to get, eggs, bread, carrots, tomatoes, those sorts of things that you would see at a farmer's market, they were just not getting access to that. And if they did have access, and if they could walk there, it was really expensive. And so the social workers said, "Hey, like, can we think of something? Leftovers had a vehicle at the time." A van, a truck that looked kind of like your first truck there, Fred. And we said, well, what if we just took the food to them? But we would have to curate the food. Like maybe the bread could be rescued because, as you said, there's such an excess of it. But a lot of the food, let's buy from farmers and farmers markets and pack the truck and and start this mobile grocery store. And that's kind of how that was the impetus of Fresh Roots. And that's how we connected because we were kind of like, I wonder if anyone else is doing this. And there was St. Louis Operation Food Search had a great example, and then Fred. And we loved the example of the bus in St. Louis. I think Halifax has one as well. And because I'm a planner, I mean, all these sort of stars aligned. And I was sitting with one of my colleagues, and he is the director of transportation at the city of Calgary. And I said, do you have a bus that I could have? He was like, I actually do. They upcycle their buses all the time. They donate them for art projects and whatever. So I got two buses for $200. Sorry, two buses for $2. One was scrap metal, so we made $900 off that. So my entrepreneur in me was very happy. And then the other one we turned into a mobile grocery store. And really, I don't know how many times we emailed or my team emailed Fred about like how to retrofit a vehicle because we had no idea. And yeah, that's how we met, and that's how our work kind of aligned.
And I do remember, I believe you were working with an architectural
That's
firm to do some of the
right.
designs. And I thought that was
Yes.
really cool because, architects are thinking like an urban planner thinks about the space that people live. They think about the experience of like walking into a space, walking
Yes.
out, how does it feel, the lighting and everything, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And I think like you, Fred, like when we look at these communities, they typically get things that maybe look like social service. It looks, not as polished as it could be. And I think, the architect's vision and our vision as a team was let's bring something beautiful to these communities and let's make something functional and something that they can be really proud of. And
Dignity.
if you go to freshroots.ca, that's the bus, and it models a lot of Fred's trucks.
Maybe Basil, you can put the link in the chat. And it brings dignity. It
Yes.
brings dignity to people who has been pushed aside or disenfranchised. They need to feel welcome and feel part of this solution.
Yeah, and
Um,
actually but sorry, I'm going to go on so many tangents,
you go.
Fred. That notion of dignity actually is at the core of Fresh Roots. So when we were kind of talking about, who are we as a social enterprise? How do we differ from, the Leftovers Foundation in the sense that they're rescue, and how do we let people know that, it's affordable service? Like we really had to distinguish it. And this notion of dignity really stuck with us. And so if you go on the bus, there's a note and it says, dignity to Fresh Roots means sort of it's four parts. So it's affordable produce. It shows up right at your doorstep, so it's convenient. It's culturally appropriate, so it'll be different food when we hit different communities. Um, and it doesn't require a proof of income. And I've talked about this before, but like we continually ask people to prove how poor they are to access their basic right. And we want to make sure that the market is open for everyone. So I shop there, Fred can shop there, and so can someone who's been living in affordable housing. And that's the beauty about the dignified model.
We literally say people don't want to be on the special bus; they want to be on the regular bus, and I think here the pun really works well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about, the minute you start asking these questions, you automatically stigmatize the entire process from the get-go. It's like, hey, this is gatekeeping, make sure that we're only serving the people, no, everybody should feel welcome, and I 100% agree with that. Let's quickly jump into, how you've harnessed all these learnings over time, specifically with the waste type of,
Right.
the challenge with waste. Put that all together for what you're working on today, which is really exciting, the Knead technology. And let's talk about waste as a problem and, what's the scope of this? Like how big is the problem around waste?
Yeah, so it is that's that really scary number of $940 billion a year we waste in food. I think that one of the things that came out, and this sort of segues into Need, the other thing that came out of the Leftovers Foundation was we built software that helps with scale. And so what we were seeing was because we were the organized food rescue, because I didn't want to miss opportunities with volunteers that wanted to help, or food donors that wanted to donate, or recipients that needed the food, we really kind of needed like this hub for logistics to help us make sure food was getting from point A to point B and it was getting there safely. Because in my opinion, only then could we really attack this scale, that you speak of. And actually, your presentation, Fred, is it's such a reminder that there's a parallel there between our worlds, because you started doing like your own mobile market, and then you were like, actually, and I'm putting words in your mouth, but like actually, with to scale this, I want to be able to give other people the tools because I've learned so much from this experience.
Uh,
And
uh,
that tool is the truck.
the first week we operated the truck and I saw the well-being it did to the community, the
Mhm.
seniors who felt welcome and were cheering about the local food and wanted to talk about
Yeah.
everything they're going to cook, the children discovering ground cherries they've never had, or, locally like fiddleheads or St. Fire greens, the things that are local to our East Coast kind of
Yeah. I
region. And
love fiddleheads.
This is. I was like, I want everybody to have this. There's no question. If I could work my entire life on this, and this would be the last thing I do, I'm hoping that I can bring this to everyone, and that's where it started. This crazy idea, and here we are.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that's that thing where it's like, well, I'm sitting at a restaurant or at a coffee shop. I'm like, I want them to donate. I know that they're going to throw that food out at the end of the day. Like, how do we get them engaged? And that was sort of the fire that, created the software and really helped us kind of scale that work.
So without further ado, I say we dive right into it. Lourdes, maybe show us what the tool looks like. Do your presentation. Take it away.
Okay, let me make sure I have this tech correct. So as I mentioned, it all started with bread. So if you see the parallel in the name, it's Knead Technologies because it all started with bread. It's really in that origin story of picking up that 200 pounds of bread. So what we do is we enable scalable and safe food recovery solutions in real time to meet the 940 global challenge of food waste. As an entrepreneur, I've always been fascinated, particularly around social impact and how we can support community members better. And the tech company is really there to help empower and scale that work. So I think everyone knows how food rescue works, but we have this surplus from grocery and retail, and that's collected by the lovely folks that work at, in this sector that are frontline food rescue organizations, food banks, pantries, and mobile markets. And all we want to do collectively is make sure that families and folks that need it are getting access to good food. So what Knead Tech does, so we are a logistics platform, really purpose-built for food rescue organizations, food banks, and nonprofits, including mobile market operators. So it helps coordinate donors, volunteers, routes, and recipients all in one place. So if you kind of think of the tech as a back-end engine, really making food rescue and redistribution smoother, smarter, and scalable. Like I sort of mentioned in my background, I'm not a technical founder. I don't come from the tech sector. And so we're always asking our customers and asking the community, what they're looking for and how we can make this tech really something that works for them. We have found that, everyone wants to do food rescue, especially if you are explaining it for the first time to someone, which, I think we're doing less and less. People are starting to really see food rescue and food recovery as commonplace. But everyone's doing it very slightly differently. And we built the tech with that in mind that, everyone has nuance to how they work in their community, and they really are the expert. So how can we make the technology, this is my
Work,
non-technical term, but how can we make it like choose your own adventure?
right? The
Sort
technology
of.
so it works for them, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Fred is way more technical than I am with his background. But if you
Keep
ask
going.
me how to
Sorry, I
plan
didn't
a
want to.
city, no, 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 all good. If you ask me how to plan a city, I can help with that. Um, and so this is, food rescue logistics that we were seeing was really disjointed. We were in the early days relying on spreadsheets and phone calls and a lot of manual coordination. And, we were like the epitome of an underfunded team. And so we know this pain really well. Myself and my co-founders all came from food rescue. We all worked at the charity or volunteered for the charity. And we all started in different positions. And so we know sort of those problems in different capacities and right from the beginning. Actually, I'll take a side note. I was talking to a food rescue organization the other day, and they said, they got, pallets and pallets of one ingredient. And it reminded me of the time where we had like 32 pallets of bananas
Mhm.
that were already ripe. And so we had to figure out how to get 32 pallets out to the Calgary community in like 24 hours. And it made the news. And it was I sort of miss that boots on the ground sort of work. But really the technology makes sure that there's no delays, there's no missed pickups. We track the donations. A lot of the volunteer statistics are tracked. And so it really helps with volunteer burnout, like who's doing more, who's signing up
Mm.
a lot more than other folks, and how do we encourage other people to do that? And we find that really coming from a place of data is really helping. Often what we're experiencing was, especially at the early days, was no visibility into what we were picking up or when or where it was going, what temperature it was at pickup and drop off. And so we found the gap, wasn't in the will for people to donate or people to receive or people to volunteer. The gap was in the workflow. And that's what Knead is out to solve. So just a quick thing on our features. So we support various modes of delivery, whether you're doing volunteers or you have your own fleet. The technology really follows a donations journey. And so there is a food donor portal for folks to say they have food, or if you have recurring donations, that can be in the portal as well. You have an admin portal. And my favorite that I use all the time is the driver app. And so that's, as a volunteer, you can sign up, get directions, input the data, and complete routes all from your phone. It's real-time logistics support. So actually, I grabbed that farmer's truck picture from your website, Fred.
Yay.
It's a good little graphic. So we enable, help our mobile market partners. We're the food rescue software for, when mobile markets are delivering some of that rescue. Obviously, it can be used for your standard food rescue if you're selling rescued food or procuring it from multiple vendors or partners. And actually, we're starting a pilot in Calgary with Fresh Roots, with the mobile grocery store, with home delivery, and really making that seamless on the tech, and making that very private, because we know that anonymity and privacy is really important. We're able to do that on the technology. Um, I want to chat very quickly. So I go back to the Smart Match feature. So there's route creation, optimization, and for recurring and on-demand pickups. And then we also have Google Maps integration. So that's that real-time tracking. Admins will know, which volunteer has signed up, and they can see everything live on the back end. Last couple slides here on automation and data. So we know that reporting is really important. We auto-generate reports for funders and boards for, whatever metrics you're looking for. I know the really standard ones are weight, CO2 savings. We work with Refed and use their Refed calculator for a lot of that work. Water saved, meals created, but you can really pick and choose the impact reporting that you'd like to do. And we'd love to work with, if there's a metric that's really interesting that you like to track, we're happy to work with you on that. Yeah, internationally, Knead is supporting some organizations to meet really strict food safety rules. So that's the custom questions, the route tracking, and then this automated reporting. It really, empowers volunteers and reduces admin time, which is really critical if you're running a lean team, which I know a lot of folks are these days. This is our tagline. We love the puns here at Knead. A little too much puns and dad jokes are kind of our thing. So we're the best thing since sliced bread.
I love it. Um, from a product design standpoint, what I absolutely adore about your solution is that you walk the walk. So you come from a place of lived experience, and then you've walked that experience, and you've noticed all the key ingredients are already there, right? When you said it's just how to connect all these dots together, how to make the community work together, and how do you make a good experience when you have volunteers? It's not a problem. Like some people have a hard time getting volunteers, and they need to do some introspection on that. But there's a lot of people who wants to help out, and but then you get to burn some bridges if you don't manage that relationship well. And sometimes we take volunteers for granted. We think they're going to show up, but you know, this is free time you get, so you need
Right.
to take. So I love what you built. So I'm sure we have some questions. Um, so today we're presenting a new product. This is the surprise I have, and it's kind of following with the technology. So let me share my screen. All right, so today we're introducing Farmer's Truck Map. So there's a lot of things that needs to be built in the community of mobile markets because mobile markets are not a new thing, and they're probably as old as the pyramids, farm stand. Farmers have been doing that for a long time, but using it to do health um, programs, to do community health, to better the community health outcome, and really looking at it from a lens of dignity, so there needs to be more tools. So we've designed the farmer's truck map. The farmer's truck map really serves two people, the shoppers and the mobile markets. The challenge really with the shoppers is like, where's the mobile market today? How many times have I answered that question on, text or whatever it is? Some people, they are good at keeping track, but a lot of people are not, and they need to be reminded. They find it difficult to follow the schedule. What's on the market? Like, let me know. What do I need to bring? Does that have EBT? Does it take SNAP? Do you take double up bucks? Do I need bags? Like these kind of questions, they come up, and each market can be different, right? And we know programs that some markets are very dedicated to a certain area, and it's not necessarily open, or they'll take certain types of payment for, so. And shoppers, to really build up the community, they need agency. They need to feel like they're participating in this. They need to feel like, they want it in their community. It should be for us, by us type of mentality, and you let people invite you in, and that usually creates a better, more success in these programs. But the mobile markets, well, like a food rescue organization, mobile market organizations are often strained by resources, and you need to manage all these things from procurement to storing to, doing marketing, all that stuff. So if there's a way to remove some of that and make it easier for you to communicate with your shoppers about some delays or cancellations and things like that, there's just, juggling SMS and email lists can be complicated. You need a better tool for engaging and retaining the community. So how do you engage necessarily? How do you make that retention? How do you engage and retain them? And then where should you park next? Which is a big question because these programs we're looking to expand, but to expand, you need to do a bit of market research, community engagement. We found a way to do that. So really quick, the shopper with our tool will get a sense to find the market near you in seconds. I'll do a demo right after this and show you how quickly someone can find where you're at. They can sign up for reminders right away, really quickly, and it creates a dedicated market stop page where you can call home. Like you can say, "Hey, here's my market stop. I can share it with my friends. I can participate." So it's an individual page for each market stop. And then for mobile markets, it's one place to manage all your market stop, the status of your market, and update people to make sure that they show up or not if you're, canceling because of weather or issue or something like that. It helps you build community and use your public profile page as your main market schedule. So this is basically a schedule for mobile market on steroids, and I'll show you what it looks like. And then creating a coming soon page is really to engage the public before you commit to doing another market. So this is kind of sounding the market, if you will, and it creates a list. So without further ado, let me do the demo. All right, so everybody see my screen? Good. Okay. So the farmer's truck map as a main page is to showcase all the markets that will be populating over time. So we've onboarded a few operators already, but essentially you see there's green buttons, there's red buttons, there's orange button. The green button means there's a market that's active. A red button that means, hey, there's something happening here. You should pay attention. And then we have our orange button. If you click on one of those, let's say I want to go see what's going on in Pottstown. So couple strokes, then you can find your city, and we've selected the city as the main research or way to find your community because most people know what city they're in, and this is probably the easiest thing for people instead of doing a postal code or things like that. So let's go see Pottstown. And in Pottstown, the best route is a mobile market that works there, and then set up their mobile market stops there. So when you click on a mobile market stop, you'll see that you have the operator, you have their next market date. So this is all generated automatically based on their schedule. You'll have the actual schedule here, the location, and how many subscribers. So the thing is, you're trying to get people to subscribe to your stop. So that's how you communicate, that's how you build community, and that's how they also see that there's people participating and they want to participate as well. So I've typed in pots down, I've clicked on one on the market, click direction. There you go. I'm going to the market. As simple as that. So two, three clicks. If you go directly on the market page itself, you'll see that there's the repeat here, but you can add it to your calendar, which pulls in all the information from the market, all the details, when it's located, at what time, what location, who you need to talk to when something happens, if you need to reach out to them. And that's all built in automatically when you set up your market schedule. These are automatically generated. So this is a big feature on its own. Um, if you go at the bottom here, this is where you sign up. So as quickly as you just landed on the page, you can sign up for a notification. This gives you the notification in the morning of the market, but also as an operator, it gives you that email list so that if something happens, you can quickly email people and basically you go to your market, you're like, hey, I have one subscriber here. Oh crap, I had a flat tire. I need to fix things. I need to tell my people that I can't make it. Well, here you go. As easy as that. This will open up an email. You can send some, basically tell them, sorry, I'm going to pick up tomorrow. And then once you do that, you can also say to the public, crap, my market is paused for the moment. So you can change the status of your market on the map so that the public sees, hey, something's happening with the market. So not only can you communicate with those who are subscribed, but communicate with those who are public or just browsing. And you can put a little note here to say, I'll bring some strawberries tomorrow to make it up for y'all. So, and that's pretty much it. So the beauty of this is every mobile market we work with, this is free. We want them to use this platform to set up their profile page. This creates a beautiful profile page and then it lists all your stops at the bottom. And people can subscribe, can do all that, and you can see where you're at. And when we talk about the um, coming soon market, basically, what we're trying to do is, hey, I'm thinking about doing a market here. I want to know if the community cares about it. And if people subscribe to it, that's going to give you a good idea of if there is an interest. And also, it gives you an email list to start with. So to make sure that people show up when you show up for the first time. So it helps you prep and sound the market to make sure you're serving the community and they invite you in. And so that's pretty much Farmer's Truck Map in a nutshell.
I
There you
want to give
go.
you a round of applause, Fred. That looks so, I know you're a user experience guy and it looks so slick. Looks great.
Thank you. I've learned how to do code, vibe coding. That's the whole thing. So AI makes me a superhuman these days. It's crazy. All right. So we are actually a bit ahead on our schedule. So maybe what I'm going to do here is I am going to skip right away to our Q&A. Basil, are you there?
Yes, I am. Fred, do you want to put up the slide with the QR code for the map? Because someone's asking. I am going to answer the first question here. They're just asking for the URL. Selena, here is the URL, and yeah. This is the first webinar where we don't have a stack of questions for me to open with. I don't know if that's a testament to your articulate language, both of you. Yeah, so far, no questions. If anyone has any questions, I would drop them in right now. The link to the farmers market, the farmers
Farmers.
map is in the chat as well. I just put it in here. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'll. All right. Is there anything in Northern California? Sharon, I assume this question is in regards to the map and availability of the map in so the map is brand new. We still don't have all the operators on it yet, but I'll let Fred kind of answer that as well.
Yeah, so it is a new tool. We went through rounds and rounds of revision with some existing operators to make sure we iron out, but there's always something. There's always something, and as Lord would attest, technology sometimes, they break, and so, but right now you can sign up. You can use the QR code right here on the slides, or go directly to the link and sign up. It's free to sign up, and then we approve it. So we just want to make sure you're a mobile market operator, and that's pretty much the only requirement so far. There's all kinds of things we're going to build throughout. Like, right now it's using email, but we also know SMS is a big deal and how to connect with individuals. So we're going to build more feature as we go. But right now we need something to work with. And yes, absolutely, you can go and sign up and create your own mobile market schedule and start using the platform today. So.
Awesome. Question from Farah. Do you know of opportunities to lease a mobile truck? Fred, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so we get that request a lot. There's a lot of communities looking to pilot a mobile market or to, test the water and things like that. We don't have an option at the current time. We are working on options, but the next best thing is to find a mobile market near you and talk with them and see if they would be willing to share their truck. I think that's because we've heard organizations doing that, and there's an interest and there's a need, and to support each other, they make a bit of money lending you the truck and vice versa. I mean, everybody wins. So there's some opportunities there.
Awesome. Next question is from Rose. Does the Farmers Map app cost anything? Monthly, annual subscription? How do we add our market? So, Rose, I would just hit that link and you can just create and add your market pretty seamlessly on there. There is no cost to the map. It is a completely free tool, and we're actually the reason it's free because we want people to get on there and populate the map and add more markets. Fred, anything
And,
to add?
and it will remain free. And so what will happen is, as we know of features that needs to be added, and so, like SMS, there's a cost to SMS. So what we'll probably do is we'll have like a paid account at one point that has more features. If you're really leveraging the tool and you're making the most out of it, then you pay a little bit per month. That helps us cover the fee. But this is for us a way to empower the community. We are always looking at what tool and services can we provide to remove barriers holistically. Like, I studied design and product and software, and now I'm designing hardware with trucks. Like, whatever I need to do, I'll do it. That's kind of my mentality. Um, so yeah, free forever for that basic account. And as we add more features that are costing us more money, then we'll see for that maybe a pro account or something. But that's for now, it's free and will remain free, and you can use it as right away.
And the sign up process is pretty easy. I would just hit the link. It is very intuitive. So,
Yeah, and if you have any problems, please send us an email. It is a new tool. There's some bugs that I may have not encountered, and you might encounter because you're using a different device or something like that. Like, please communicate that to us. I want to fix these bugs to make sure it rolls out well. Every account needs to be approved, so just wait for that. Once you do subscribe or sign up, we'll double check to make sure you are a mobile market operator, and that's pretty much it. That's the only requirement at this time.
awesome. Next one, I'll answer real quick and then we'll move on to a question for Lourdes. Are you linking to a grant program? We have a vision, but nothing yet. So, for Jude, I would say definitely subscribe to our newsletter. We share a ton of grants all the time, sometimes too many. We were just talking earlier about how many emails we sent this month because there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of grants out there. Um, not as much in Canada. We sniff out any in Canada when they do come up. There's a whole lot more in the US. But yeah, I mean, either reach out to us and wherever you are, we can do a bit of search and see what's applicable to your location. And overall, I would definitely recommend subscribing to our newsletter. We send out a grant of the month or grants of the month.
Uh,
Every month.
like, our mission is to empower the community leaders who are bold and motivated enough to take on this challenge of food access, food waste recovery. This is the world we live in. we can't do it all on our own. Lourdes can't do it all on her own. It's about empowering others to do this. This is kind of the click with the social entrepreneurship mindset. It's like, how do I multiply this idea and make it sustainable and grow this impact? So, yeah.
Awesome. I see, Lord, you already answered the question about Knead Tech being active in Colorado, so thank you for doing that. Next up, N. Lewis. May I ask Lourdes how she financed her expansion from her first bus to now, including starting Knead?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and a lot to unpack, so I'll stay pretty high level. Leftovers Foundation is the charity, so it's funded basically how a lot of charities are funded, sort of two-part government funding and donations. Fresh Roots is sort of three-part, so it's government funding or grants, doesn't have to be government. The food sales, so they make a little bit off the food sales. And then also sponsorships, which Fred maybe can speak to a bit more, but we have found that particularly the bus, because it was sort of like this sexy piece of equipment that went out into the to a lot of Indigenous communities and inner city communities. Just like how a bus route would, we landed pretty significant annual sponsorship and recurring annual sponsorship for that. Knead Tech is actually social impact venture backed. So my first time raising investment capital, very strategic in terms of who we brought on as angel investors, some mostly in the US and Canada, actually all from the US and Canada, and then social impact investors, institutions in Canada kind of closed our first investment round. So Knead is venture backed.
And then to a quick note on the revenue side of things, how to make ends meet with a mobile market program. There's a million different ways, whether it's you're generating revenue through an activity or somebody really cares about what you're doing and will support it, whether it's public or private. But if you want to deep dive into some options on how to do the sponsorship model, please go to our community learning platform. We also call it the Mobile Market University. We've basically went to town on like un unloading my brain and everybody's brain to how to do mobile markets as efficiently and all the tips and tricks that we can come up with. It's all free. It's on our website. Basil, if you can put the link at one
Absolutely.
point. Yeah, please.
Awesome. And Lewis says thank you. Okay. And this question is from Jude again. What kinds of technical assistance does the farmer's truck offer? I'm not sure if you're referring to the technical assistance we recently announced with the HFFI program or in general. I mean, we help you either way, but Fred, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so we will do wherever we need, whether we're paid or not. We find ways to get paid to do what we need to do. I guess it's, trying to flip the whole problem on its head. But now we were approved to be a technical assistance provider for the Healthy Food Financing Initiative, which is a big deal. It's nationwide, and mobile markets are approved. Part of that, you can we'll help you with marketing, we'll help you with program planning, we'll help you with even fundraising to add to the funds that you would get from that program. So reach out to us. We'll give you all the details on that and how we can support. But we look at it holistically. How do we help organizations and individuals do this as efficiently and as impactful as possible?
Awesome. Thanks, Fred. Ricky asked, we struggle with holiday food rescues. We have a lots of food donors who need pickups, but many of our nonprofit partners are closed. How do you guys handle that? I think that one is for Lourdes.
Yeah, hi Ricky, if that's the Ricky Hyde that I'm thinking of. It's nice to have you on the webinar. Holidays are always a challenge. Um, we have found success, and I remember when I was at the charity, and even some of our customers at Knead Tech now, they'll partner with larger convention centers or folks that have like freezing capabilities, walk-in refrigerators and freezers. And so if the food is, prepared food, or if it can go into a freezer, so not, produce, um, well, some produce can. We partner with them to freeze it, and so they'll keep it over the holidays until those nonprofit partners open again. So just trying to bring on another partner to prolong the life span of the food. We found that was really helpful, particularly. We were working in Phoenix where there was a lot of events that had prepared food, and they would make sure that they had a partnership with the convention centers, freeze that food, and then folks were able to pick it up when they opened again. I hope that's helpful.
Oh, so the strategy is to find all these like underutilized refrigerated space and kind of map it out. Like, hey, and then kind of go through the list. Like, hey, you got space? No? Okay, next. Kind of go through.
Yeah, exactly. Just making partnerships work.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you. All right. And do you help people acquire food trucks for their mobile markets as well? That's from Selena.
So we look at all the options for you. We will look for grants. We will look for funders, whatever your situation is. We'll do our best to support you. And usually, the typical mobile market program will find funds to buy the vehicle. We'll find partnerships with the city to pay for the staff, for example. So, just to staff it up, and then maybe a bit of money to get the program rolling, and they'll cover their costs of the food with the sale of the food. So, really, what is left is just vehicle maintenance and operation, the space that you're. But yeah, I guess I'm going into more details than I have to, but essentially, yes, we help with finding that money to do that. So
Yeah, and then we work with you on designing the program, and then as Fred mentioned, the community learning platform has a lot of different tools and learnings on how to run the program. Fred championed the term the Robin Hood model, which is essentially how you can sustain your own mobile market using your own sales. So how you can break even or fund additional aspects of your programming.
yeah,
So.
I just did I don't know what you call that, Basil, a YouTube review or whatever it was.
A reaction video as the as
Yeah. So now I'm trying to be cool. So And so this guy is doing a for-profit mobile farmers market and is doing a killing. And I was like, hey, let's study how he does his thing because a lot of mobile markets, they're not profit. They come in, they're like, how do I make ends meet with this? I don't know how I'm going to get, sell all this. I'm like, you have to leverage the for-profit practices and you need to be competitive. That's so the Robin Hood model is saying, go serve an affluent community where they have more than enough money to buy and pay for whatever, and their ticket item will be usually much higher than a low income community, and balance your schedule so that at the end of the day, you put the mask on first before you start helping others. And that's very important. Your sustainability means long-term success.
Awesome. Next question I have from Lakeisha Davis. Do you have a nonprofit to create this platform or a mobile of a mobile market? I'm not entirely sure I fully understand the question. Maybe Lakeisha, if you can write up another question and elaborate. Fred?
As far as like a business model to operate a mobile market, I mean, you could be for profit if you're a farmer. That makes sense. I mean, being a farmer and a nonprofit is probably the worst two ideas put combined because they're both really difficult. But most mobile markets we work with are nonprofit and or they'll act like a social enterprise in meaning where they want to meet their operational expenses with their revenue and whatever surplus, it's not profit, it's called surplus, and is reinvested in the program and maybe scaling the program. But all that to remain an affordable and accessible shopping experience for people that are dealing with they're low income, so you can go there and sell $5 cucumbers. It's not going to work.
Thank you. Next question from Mandy. I admit that I have a couple of interruptions during this meeting, but the thesis is that you guys offer consulting for organizations to create farmers truck type mobile markets. That is somewhat correct. Yes, there is not a franchising opportunity for farmers truck, right? You are
Well,
correct, but yeah, I'll let.
So we are considering uh, lending the brand as a means to help programs be received by the community in a better light. So if your program says Food Bank X, it's hard to wash away the stigma that the word food bank comes with. And it's unfortunate, but that's the reality. So if you want to create, and this is part of your dignified mission and something we've touched on in Lord, having a brand that says maybe a farmer's market, you know, farmer's truck, farmer's market. Like it changes the conversation. It's no longer a poor people program, it's an everybody's program. And this is why we're considering lending the brand. So it's in the works. If you're interested, reach out. Maybe something we can work out. So,
Yeah. But Fred, do you want to just kind of elaborate on our current system, how some of our partnerships currently work?
um, so what do you mean by partnerships?
I mean, some of our current,
So,
customers and partners in different states that are running mobile markets.
yeah, so basically, typical candidate is a food bank. And they have all this food they need to move. They know the brick and mortar store only reaches so many people in the community. So they're trying to see, how do I serve the outskirts? How do I grow? How do I serve my community? And so they reach out to us. We'll look for, okay, how do you want to do this? What type of program you have in mind? Okay, you want to do trucks? We'll look for grants for them. Well, there's nothing formal at this point about um, you know, um, well, I guess there's nothing formal. It's basically the process of creating your program is very much personalized to your need and the community that you're serving. So, but they kind of reflect each other, and that's why we created this online platform. But we'll follow you and we'll empower you from starting your program. And as we grow, we are continuously building more, like the map, for example, or finding ways to remove barriers and continuing on that road. We are a social enterprise. We can bite on what we can chew, and so we kind of be careful about that. Our sustainability is also important, so we take what we can. But if anybody on the call wants to sponsor us and give us some money to do more things, I mean, come on, I'm open for that. Let's go.
Awesome. Another question here from Selena. Need and the farmer's truck is meant to be utilized together to optimize operations. I'll take that. So, not exactly. I mean, we definitely have a lot of paths that cross in terms of our mission. However, this is kind of a tech themed webinar, so we are presenting some tech solutions. The map is a new tech solution that Fred actually personally has worked on over the past month. And this webinar, it was a nice way to present it. And Knead Tech is an established platform, and that is has many
There,
partners and many utilities. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll chime in real quick, but it's like, how do we look at our space, the food rescue, the food access, the underlook or overlook, I guess, space of the food problem we deal with. And need is one piece of the puzzle. Farmer's truck is one piece of the puzzle. The refrigerated locker doors is one piece of the puzzle. There's so many different logistical and tech and service tools that needs to be built, and we're just getting started. Like so, but yeah, absolutely. It is a way to feature different ways to do your work.
Um, from an anonymous question, how do you get connected to communities that don't use technology often? That's for you, Lourdes.
Yeah, I'd love to answer that. So, we've chatted with a few organizations in the US where they're a bit more remote. And what we're finding the solution is that they actually don't have a need for the mobile app because our solution is two-part. There's the admin portal, which you can log on from any computer, and then the mobile app. We have found that in those remote communities that just the admin web portal is sufficient unless they, start getting volunteers that can use the devices. But we're just finding that the admin portal is sufficient enough for them.
Yep. And I'll chime real quick. Like we've had a program that was processing EBT in these cards in Louisiana, and where they were going, there's absolutely no cell receptions or whatever. And they had us install a giant satellite on top of the truck to like pick up these things, which is obviously a bold solution to fix the issue, a cannon to shoot a mosquito, I guess, if you will. But there is some options if you're looking for some sort of connection. And Starlink and there's all kinds of different solutions that might be cool to look into.
I can't shoot a mosquito. I'm using that. Awesome. Question from Terra Nations. Is there a model that combines a for-profit sliding scale with food bank distributions? Yes, there is, and I'll let Fred answer that quickly. Fred, we only have a few minutes left, so.
Yeah, so I guess you have to take a step back and think about the experience you're trying to provide. And so those who are seeking emergency food assistance are in a dire situation. They need different type of care, different type of approach. Anonymity is very important. Feeling they can come and pick and do things like that's wear their shoes. When you're doing a market, and the market we like to preach is a market where you sell food and which comes with the dignified process and all that stuff, you can still sell food at a ridiculous cost. But as long as you sell it, people will feel like, hey, I just got a really good bargain. They're not going to be like, hey, I came home from this food bank. No, I got the best deal of the century, and I'm coming back next week because I got 50 cents a pound for this. So think about your experience. And some are combining these. Some have like a section on the truck that are for donations and things like that. But just think about the experience. And that's how I would look at it. Like, what do you want to provide? And maybe you want to separate these things just because there are two different type of needs.
Awesome. And Lakeisha, and just a comment here. I would love to help getting this started when the grocery store is 30 minutes away. Yes, please reach out to us. And we would love to help you brainstorm how you could get a program started in your area.
And
Um,
just for those who are looking to see, hey, maybe I could do this, look, go on Google, search for mobile market and type in your city or your community or your county. There may be already somebody doing it, and you can go and just help them grow, help them, needs assessment or community gap analysis or however you want to call it, are very important. That's how you get to learn who's already doing something and how you can complement them. If you start a mobile market and there's already one there, and you're like, okay, now you're competing with the space, it's not that's not helpful. So work with others, I would say, if you can.
Awesome. I also shared Lourdes' email in the chat there. If anyone wants to reach out to her personally about inquiring about their technology or any collaborations. Last couple of questions here. So, Jude, Jude Wait asks, your monthly is affordable to a startup with zero budget. I'm not sure who you're referring to, Jude.
Is it the monthly fee for the Needs platform?
Could be, I believe.
You're on mute, Lutz.
Yeah, maybe maybe that's for me. If that's for me, Jude, I would pop me an email. So it is a a software as a subscription-based product. But we're always looking for folks to work with, to pilot with. And so just pop me an email and we can chat. I'd love to learn about your startup too.
Awesome. Last comment or maybe question. I'll read it and we'll find out. From Mandy, I am with a food bank and we utilize National Find Food app that connects food banks in the States. We have a major funding opportunity to do a mobile markets in rural parts of our state. I just wanted to say that if you do decide to franchise, so to speak, that would be welcome resource for food banks like ours. Amazing. I am going.
Well noted. Well noted. It is part of the scope because it is a tool that could be helpful, and so it's on the table. Our mission comes first.
Absolutely. And Jude just gave us George Grown. I will check out that link, Jude. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I think that wraps up our webinar. Thank you, everyone who attended. And Fred, do you want to say some final words?
Yes. Well, first I want to thank Lourdes for joining me. It was great to share your story. I hope we've inspired some people to stand up, do something. Don't, status quo is not something we deal with very well, but I hope we've inspired some people. Um, Famous last word is good food, good mood. Let's keep rolling. Thank you for joining us. See you next month. Cheers.